Hello and welcome to Business Standard Podcast. Today is 13th May and this is BS On Ground, a discussion into the latest events in the world of sports. I'm your host Ankur Bhardwaj, and to discuss the latest season of IPL, I'm joined by my colleagues Eric Massey and Shivas Jodi. Yesterday evening, Rohit Sharma-led Mumbai Indians once again beat Chennai Super Kings in the IPL final. This was the fourth time these two teams were playing against each other in the finals. And this was the third time Mumbai got the better of the other team. What was that match about, Eric?
Well, it was yet again two long-time rivals, Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings, battling it out for the IPL trophy. And yet again, Mumbai had the last laugh because ultimately they won the game of nerves. It was a nail-biter, and the last ball decided the result of the match.
You know, what stood out for me was that this was the 12th season of IPL, and a lot of people who have even come out on social media and have said that they have not been followers of IPL, but this was the season that changed it for them. This was the season when they turned into kind of followers, at least if not fans of the IPL. And yesterday's very close match probably was a testament to the quality of cricket which was being played in this tournament.
The thing that stands out in the IPL is that more than 30 matches were decided in the last over. So this goes
even
on.
Yesterday's match was decided in the last over.
Yes, and this goes on to show that the quality of the teams that are playing, and especially if you look at the points table after the end of playoffs, there were the teams that qualified for the playoffs. One of them was at 12 points, and no team ended up in single digits.
You know what? In yesterday's match, you could even hear the commentators complaining about the fact that the boundaries in the stadium are a little longer than, let's say, Wankhede. So I remember one of the commentators saying that the moment you hit the ball up in the air, of course he was joking, the ball is out of the park in Wankhede Stadium. So this was a more even contest between bat and ball, I thought. I mean, you know, it wasn't just batsman all the way that you hit the ball and that's it and bowlers have no chance. It was a more even contest, so we saw a slightly lower score and a tightly fought match.
I think the credit goes to bowlers because they kept the match. It was a bowlers match. It was because bowlers were the key players here. Even in the first inning also, Mumbai had a long tail of batsmen, but then despite having Hardik Pandya there, despite having Kieron Pollard there, they couldn't even put a fighting total. It was a
Tahir broke their back, by the way. I mean, he came and turned it around and immediately just turned the game on its head.
I mean, that's how a team wins. I mean, if you look at the players like Imran Tahir.
Despite and adding to that point, despite having being sloppy in the field and dropping catches, bowlers were so efficient in their job that they were able to contain Mumbai to a total of 149, which is not a par score given the final and the team that they were facing. Yet when Chennai came out to bat, again Mumbai bowlers were bang on target. Malinga went for a few runs in his death overs, but then when he came to bowl the final over, he contained them for just 4 runs and bowled the crucial over, resulting in Mumbai's win.
This IPL would stand out for me for the incident of Mankading which took place. Of course, Delhi's performance. We are sitting in Delhi right now. I mean, Delhi just turned it around.
Delhi just surprised everyone because it was like after 7 years they made it to the playoffs, especially with a young team and a young captain, Shreyas Iyer, who just won, I think in 2015 he won the Emerging Player of the Year award, and suddenly he led the team to playoffs.
You know what? I was heartbroken when it actually didn't win and didn't reach the finals.
And I mean the same goes here, and I think even fans were expecting a new team, like they were expecting Delhi to be there, and then they were hoping that probably it could be Delhi and Mumbai this time, or Delhi or Chennai this time, and then Delhi will eventually win the title, and this will be like a moment for them. But then, I mean, that's sport altogether.
That's how it is when Delhi was playing so well, but we have to consider the fact that Delhi is a very young team. When it comes to holding the nerves, you need experience, and Chennai had that to sustain over there.
Well, yeah, you could say that. But then Delhi has a very young team, and I think that should hold them in good stead in the coming seasons. I mean, they can have this combination going for a few years now.
I mean, they have Rishabh Pant, Shreyas Iyer, and then Prithvi Shaw. I think they're going to retain them for at least 4 years to come. At the same time, they had Shikhar Dhawan this time, who was an experienced batsman for the team. So
yeah, I mean, we've seen that the IPL has been dominated by a few teams. CSK and Mumbai invariably find themselves in the final. But looking at only the final would suggest that it was perhaps only these two teams. But I think IPL this time was a more closely fought tournament.
Indeed, it was very closely fought, considering the fact that RCB lost 6 games in a row, and then coming back and gaining 10 points on the points table. Nobody expected that. And on the other hand, KKR had a very good start in the tournament, with Andre Russell bashing everyone all over the park, and then they went on to lose 6 matches when everybody was thinking that they are a short team for the playoffs.
Yeah, but then RCB's rather iffy performance could also mean that it might have shaken Kohli's confidence going into the World Cup.
I would say it would not have, because it's a tournament where the team selection is not in his hand. The players were not available. Dale Steyn, when he came in the later stage of the tournament, he won 2 matches for RCB. Had Dale Steyn been available earlier in this tournament, RCB would have done pretty well. So I don't think Kohli would consider IPL's performance and would let that affect his gaming capacity.
Well, we can't ignore the fact that IPL 12 had this huge shadow looming over it, and that is the big one, the ICC World Cup, which is going to take place in England very soon. Players who did well here would take a lot of confidence from this place. Players like Rabada, Butler, Bairstow. There were some excellent performances in this IPL.
Definitely. I mean, if you can see that Bairstow just, I think he had to depart. He had to leave for World Cup preparations, and the match against Pakistan, England is playing against Pakistan, and then he had a splendid performance just 2 days back. I think it's going to go with other players too. In fact, Jasprit Bumrah, I think he will be ferocious in the World Cup.
Great that you mentioned Bumrah. I mean, is Bumrah the most important or the most incredible player in the Indian cricket team right now?
Well, definitely, because if you look at his performance, if you look at his economy in the IPL, I don't think there was any batsman who could actually hit Bumrah. They were targeting other players. Even Lasith Malinga got some bashing from the batsman.
You know, the last time an Indian fast bowler was so dominating in a tournament or was at his peak of his performance and was as good as any in the world was Zaheer Khan in the 2011 World Cup. India actually managed to win that World Cup, if you remember.
Yes, and I think Zaheer Khan played the role of anchor as well for the bowlers. He was mentoring Ishant Sharma during that World Cup, and the matches where he guided him, Ishant Sharma bowled well. So, though Ishant Sharma and Zaheer Khan both are not in the squad, but Bumrah, Shami and Bhuvneshwar, they are in such a form that they would not need any kind of guidance, and they would be fierce on the wickets of England, which are pacey and bouncy. So India is very well poised to be one of the favourites in the World Cup, on not on the back of batting, but this time on the back of bowling.
Which is a huge change since forever.
Yes, it is. And Kohli being in the form that he is, and the best part is that Dhoni has returned to form. The Australia series that we played before IPL, his performance in the IPL as well, it is a huge plus that if in any match we falter on the number 4 spot, Dhoni is there to take that.
Well, the umpiring has also been a bone of contention in this IPL. Do you think this was different from earlier occasions, or do you think it was just par for the course?
Well, I think, yeah, it was different because there were a lot of incidents. You see, I don't think people have seen Kohli or Dhoni walking up to the umpires, expressing their displeasure in such a manner. At the same time, it happened in the last match too. Pollard was furious with the decision that the umpire did not give it a wide ball.
And the thing is that the 2 incidents where Dhoni and Kohli walked up to the umpire, they are unique in themselves because umpires tend to check for a no ball when the wicket falls. So why not when it is a crunch situation? Last ball that was bowled by Malinga to the RCB batsman, it was a no ball. Had it been given, the match could have turned anyway. So why not check that? Dhoni going to the umpire for a no ball, and that was a glaring error. Umpire himself gave a no ball. The buzzer was beeped in the stadium, and then overturning the decision. Okay, it's not a no ball because the leg umpire doesn't feel so. So that was a very disturbing thing to see.
But you know, Shivansh, the thing is, usually we find that it's the players who are fined for having opposed the umpire or expressed dissent in a rather strong way. Maybe they threw their bats or kicked something around. This time we had an umpire going and kicking a door, which was probably the first. You know, I can't remember any such occasion when an umpire went ahead and kicked the door, and the umpire was clearly at fault because One, he had made a mistake. He had made a blunder back in the on the ground, and then he went in and kicked the door out. So maybe there is some tension going out there on the field.
Yes, the another reason for an umpire being so frustrated is the DRS. When a player takes a DRS and umpire's decision is overturned, it clearly reflects on the performance of the umpire.
You think they're taking it personally?
I guess they are, because that's a clear representation of what they are doing. If a decision is being overturned, that shows that umpire has not been very efficient with his job. LBWs, yes, we can expect that it's not very easy to judge. Sometimes it does happen that it's just clipping the bails or something. But for some decisions, for no ball or something that is an edge that has been carried to the keeper.
Yeah, you would expect the umpire to find that out. I mean, he was just standing right there. You would expect him to pick a no ball for sure.
At the same time, I think it's the heat of the moment. I think it's the reaction from the players. Some players are very offensive after they receive any sort of such decision from the umpire. So obviously, like they went to they express their displeasure in different manners. So obviously, umpire gets offended in some way or the other, because it's not like earlier when umpire's decision is the last decision. So I think umpires are taking it seriously also.
I think if you look at Indian players in IPL 12, Dhoni is still going strong. There are some issues with the fitness, but I mean, you could still say that he's at the top of his game.
Definitely, Dhoni is at the top of his game, and keeping his fitness in his mind, there are 9 games that India has to definitely play in the World Cup, and he can be rested in a few of them, which won't be that important.
But we won't have Pant with us.
Wicket keeping won't be an issue because Dinesh Karthik is in the squad.
Yeah.
And he did perform in a few matches, and his keeping is decent.
But with his ability to hit the ball out of the park, Pant would have been an asset.
That is debatable given the experience of Pant and Dinesh Karthik. That is what has been the word from the selectors.
But I believe Pant would have been a better choice, because we have seen Dinesh Karthik.
See, we have two people each giving completely different opinions, but that's Indian cricket for you.
I think that's exactly what it is, because I mean, if you look at Pant, he's young and he goes after every ball. I think that sort of batting, I think we need to make sure that opposition bowlers are scared of at least one batsman who can change the match at any situation. So, and at the same time, there were questions about Pant's ability to end the match, but then apparently he showed that he can actually take his team home and then ultimately win the matches for the team. So I think, in my opinion, I think Pant would have been a better choice.
But would you say that IPL 12 has been good enough preparation for the Indian team going into the World Cup?
Well, definitely, because we saw Indian players. At the same time, I wanted to point this out earlier also. I mean, this was in this IPL, it was not all about star players from other countries. Mostly Indian players had the attention. For example, Bumrah was there. Rishabh Pant was discussed throughout. Vijay Shankar, when he was selected for the World Cup, everyone was talking about him. And Dhoni, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, it was more about Indian players this time. So that was one big thing. At the same time, Shubman Gill, he won the Emerging Player of the Year award last night. So that was the improvement over previous years.
However, I would like to add that Vijay Shankar has not performed well in this IPL, and he is in the squad, and that
has probably caused a bit of heartburn as well.
Yes, it has caused heartburn, and him not performing and getting included in the squad ahead of many players who could have been there.
Like
Suresh Raina, Ambati Raidu, who could have been in the 15.
Raidu has been pretty pissed about it though.
Yes, he has been. And I still believe that Raina could have made the cut.
In fact, I think Ajinkya Rahane would have been a better choice, because
3 names have been mentioned.
Yeah, he showed with his bat. He scored 100. I mean, days after the squad was announced, so that was something. I think it was some sort of message to the selectors.
Yes, and the day he was removed from captaincy, or rather, in terms of Steve Smith taking the charge, not being the leadership thing that he said in the match that he was leading. He scored a century and then he went on to score runs. So Ajinkya Rahane, yes, very well mentioned that he could have been a better choice, and that too in England, where you need a bit of class more than just muscle power. So, yes, Ajinkya Rahane would have been a better choice.
When South Africa returned to international cricket after being banned because of apartheid in the country, everybody was shocked by the the quality of the fielding that they did, and they completely transformed fielding in international cricket. Since then, we've come to a stage where India is probably the best fielding side in the world right now. And I think IPL deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, it has changed the way we feel and we approach the game, and we are far more aggressive than we used to be. It would be the one thing that stands out in these 12 years of IPL for me. What would it be for you?
For considering the IPL, yes, some of the players show excellence in the field, while some turn out to be very, very sloppy. That's the polarization of IPL in terms of fielding. But yes, IPL has improved the level of fielding. It is very demanding.
Yeah, but it shows you up. If you're feeling bad, then you're out there in public glare, and then selectors will take a look at it.
Yes, definitely that happened in the match yesterday. Suresh Raina dropped a dolly, and which resulted in Chennai's defeat just by one run. But then you can point fingers there. He dropped a catch. That was very simple.
I think it's the same. At the same time, I think the way the fielding is done in such pressure matches, 20 overs are there, and then you can't afford to misfield, you can't afford to overthrow. So you have to be very precise with the fielding. You have to be on point. You have to be very active, and you have to be aggressive also, so that the batsmen stay calm. They feel the pressure. So I think in that sense, a lot of players have improved. I mean, yeah, players do falter at times. I mean, last night we saw there were so many missed chances. In fact, from Mumbai also, they dropped Shane Watson, I think, thrice. So he almost had the match, but all hail Malinga. I think he in the end, he just took away everything from MS Dhoni and company. But then, yeah, I mean, we saw that anything can happen. But then overall, I think they've done a lot better.
So a great IPL season comes to a close. What is the big change, if any, that you would like to see next time?
The big change that I would like to see in IPL next year would be better umpiring standards and some yardstick to measure them with. If there is an umpiring error which players feel other than the dismissals, they should have the ability to refer it, because a no ball of waist height or a wide ball that is questionable should be referred.
Eric, what do you think?
I think I would want to see a lot of more young players leading their teams, just like Delhi have done. The team changed. I mean, it all changed for them. Shreyas Iyer they were groomed under Sourav Ganguly, Ricky Ponting, and then look how they performed. I think the same should go for let's say KKR, because this time it was a total blunder. It's a debacle from their side. Being in such a strong position, you can't afford to lose the plot at a crucial stage. And the same goes for other teams too. I think other teams can also apply the same. Kings 11 Punjab, for example, they were doing good, but then again, even they also missed the bus. So I think I would want to see young players leading the team. So that will be a really big change.
So like a generational transition now, huh? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this IPL? I mean, 10 being the highest.
I think I'll rate it as 8 because they were obviously... if you look at umpiring, and then at the same time some performances, so they were not at par. So I think 8 would be good.
I would give it a 7.
That's harsh.
I'm deducting points on the umpiring standards and sort of repeated final that CSK Mumbai and having the same teams in the playoffs.
Fair enough.
So okay. That's there.
So that was the first episode of BS on Ground, a discussion on the latest in the world of sports. Please subscribe to Business Standard Podcast on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or keep following us on our website for the latest in the world of business, economy, sports, and politics. Thank you.